Hello everyone, it's Chadman here, bringing you yet another historical battle, and I have of course the pleasure of having Mao join me for this battle. Good evening, Mao.
Good evening.
Now, we are looking at the French versus the Austrian in this battle of a random place somewhere with a river. I don't believe it's actually got a name, but they are conforming to historical accuracy. So I'm just looking at the French here. Now you can see they've got skirmishers set up. Looks like you've got some cavalry making their way off. Some lovely double lines from the French here. And what are they going to be looking to do in order to actually attack the Austrian lines? What kind of makeup do the Austrians have?
The makeup of the Austrians is very strange indeed. They've removed one of their lines. They've actually got two units of cavalry, one as hussars and one as dragoons. They then have a small unit of skirmishers and then two lines along with some cannons, which the French do not have. So the Austrians are setting up to play a static sort of defensive position using cavalry to try and take advantage, whereas the French are very much line infantry based.
Now, one thing I'm wondering if what they would try and do is actually use the cavalry to herd them towards the line troops, and also into the direction of the cannons. Would that actually be a suitable tactic, do you think?
Yeah, definitely herding them towards the cannons. The line troops, I'm not so sure. I don't think they would withstand the numbers if the French went full force at their line. It's definitely going to be down to the cannons for the Austrians.
Okay, so what we're going to see is we're just watching the Austrians as they make their way out. Obviously, they've got a couple of standard, what looks like 6 or 12 pound cannons, and we are watching them make their way up towards one of the main fences. Now, obviously, that's going to mean they're going to be overlooking the river and taking pot shots at the French, who are looking over the other side. Now, there's also this well, I wouldn't say large bridge, but rather half-hearted bridge in the middle of what is probably the most shallow river you've ever likely to see. Now, obviously, that means that this river can be forded at pretty much any location. That means then that gives plenty of options for aggressive play and also sneaking around the back of people. What's your thoughts on that, Mel?
Yeah, being able to cross everywhere pretty much just renders that bridge pointless, especially if there's artillery in play. You do not want to be narrowing down to any small given area that people can predict. So I don't think we'll see too much use of that bridge, to be honest.
Now, we're looking at a nice collection here of light infantry. Now, these skirmisher guys appear to be sort of probing the defensive area. They've got a view on the artillery, which is looking over the fence on the opposite side of the river. And we're just looking to see what's going on. Oh, there we go. Cannon claims its first victim, Feldsow, with a lovely shot into poor old Stuffs. He got well and truly stuffed. And we're looking here at the 18th. They are with a drummer over the other side, and they look to be guarding the artillery. Now, the question is, what are the cavalry up to for the Austrian side? They seem to be roaming around the back end of the map, looking for an opportunity to strike. What's your thoughts on how they're going to proceed on this, Mal?
I think they would try and probe around the side of the maps to look for weak points, but the French don't have artillery, so there's no, obvious target for them. Also, their skirmishers actually, because they're French, don't have rifles and therefore have bayonets on, so even they are fairly well equipped to deal with cavalry. One thing they should be trying to notice is the French unit sneaking across the river at the back end of the map, but they seem to have missed that one at the moment.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that they're going to try and do. However, I can see the cavalry now moving in towards the river. They look to be possibly charging towards that light infantry on the left-hand side, except that the light infantry looks to have been backed up by another line behind them. So it could be that they're following in on this large line that is going to be trying to make their way across the river on the far side, as the cannon is continuing to pick off members of the French opponent's force, or the opposing force, I should say. And that's really going to cause them a problem unless they can get in there and neutralise that cannon as quickly as possible, Mal.
Yep, they've already got a line infantry unit engaging the defending Austrian troops with what looks like their cuirassiers coming across the river behind them. So we may see an attack on the cannons. It depends how forceful they wish to be.
Now, obviously, one thing you tend to see on here, variation between all of the strategies and everything like that, is that you do see variation on how aggressive teams choose to be. Now, what's the benefit of being aggressive under certain circumstances? When can it benefit you and when can it go against you?
If you can get your units coordinated and be aggressive together, you can just have sort of an overwhelming tide that pushes the enemy back before they can respond, especially if you've got some well-coordinated cavalry. So the Austrians do have that potential, but if you don't have the coordination, units go in one by one, they will just get picked off by defenders that can organise to counter them.
Okay, so now what we're looking at is a run of our cavalry. They are over to the far side. Looks like they are trying to possibly head off the line troops that are probing the defences of the river on the far side. Now, they're taking some cannonball fire, and we've got some line fire coming in from the 4th into the 4E. There's LaSalle and Blackadder. They've taken some fire as well. Let's see if we can lock in to see what's going on with these guys over the other side. Let's see. It looks like the light infantry has now finished probing those defences and are moving back behind the defensive power of these fences, which, as we know, deflect bullets and cannonballs extremely well. Oh, cannonball fire from Feldau again, proving the deadliness of the cannonballs, and they really need to take out that artillery because it is picking off people on a regular basis, and they will not be able to sustain these casualties unless they do something about it, Mal.
Yeah, they definitely need to start moving together more. The 4E probed the defences on the side, which left their cannon wide open, and the rest of the French armies just seems content sitting on the opposite riverbank doing nothing except catching cannonballs. So they're going to have to pull this coordination together if they want to get somewhere.
Now, looking at the cannon area for the Austrians, I noticed they've decided to take a little bit of a defensive stance here, as looks like in come the cavalry for the French going after that remaining members. They did manage to make it past the stakes that have been put in place. Looks like most of the cavalry is being taken down. There are a few people left standing. The Austrians are trying to take out the remaining members. The sabres are swinging left, right and centre. And I think they were actually quite lucky. They snuck across the river, darted in behind the fence, and actually managed to make the most of an opportunity of the fact that the line troops were out of position. Would you agree with that assessment, Mal?
Yeah, it was well timed. It just would have been slightly better if the 4E, as the line infantry, would have tried to pin the Austrian line infantry. It would have meant they had no bullets in their muskets to take out the horses as they came around the corner, and just would have supported the team a bit better. They have shown up to finish off the fight, and fortunately the other Austrians can't come over and engage because they're busy themselves with the cuirassiers. So they're getting some teamwork together. It's just, where's the rest of the team is the question.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Now, obviously, let's look at the numbers. 45 for France, 37 for Austria. The Austrian teams, obviously, they're going to try and bunch themselves up, try and repel borders, so to speak, against the cavalry. Now, obviously, you've got another Austrian line moving in. There's no Australians in this war. What are you talking about? As it looks like we've got another cavalry here from the 5th TES, KDR. There's Brendel as we're watching him move in, taking out a lone member. That's Mac, probably, is the last man standing. No, that's Zohan. And so they are now moving in to close in on the retreating French. What is the best option? Make cover for the trees so that they can get out of the way of the cavalry?
Yep, for the French, it's definitely get into those trees and hide around the logs because the horses will run into them. It's just reduced mobility. And the cavalry's part, if they're dragoons, they should probably try and engage with the guns. I doubt the French are reloaded in their current state, having just been in a melee fight. So they missed an opportunity there, I think.
Yeah. Also, part of the problem is that if you're hiding behind a tree, then that tree can be intercepted by a sabre as you come flying past. So that would have benefited them. But unfortunately, they were being snuck up on by a line of Austrians, and the French... And there's a cuirassiers also being taken down, Colonel Sonada, and that is pretty much it for that French contingent on that side. However, they still have the advantage of what looks to be 4 players over the Austrians. Now, I'm just going to see if I can find what's going on, if the artillery is still in any kind of serviceable order. No, the artillery has been silenced. and it looks to be just line and cavalry versus line on the French opposing side. What are they going to do here to try and hold off the Austrians, Mal?
Well, they should technically group up, but it seems one line's running of its own accord and the other one's not moving up to support it. It's content to hide in the trees on the other side of the artillery position. So they really need to get this comms sorted.
Well, that's also a problem that you're always going to have with differing regiments from different team speaks and all the rest of it. It's obviously a difficult situation to get into. We're watching the 6T guard. Here's Cremon making his way in and gets flattened by a horse, manages to survive it, and there appears to be random horses all over the place, and it seems to be a victory there for the French with only 11 Austrians remaining alive. Now, looking over to the far bank, it looks like the Austrians are having a little bit of a bayonet party with the remaining Frenchman. He has not survived that experience, and that's kill 221. And we are looking to see what they are going to do. This looks to be pretty much most of what survives for the Austrians. We're looking at about 7 of them, which means there's 4 others out in the field. And it's just a matter of what they decide to do. Looks like there is a general in there. So there's the 3TS. Here we go. He's come in. He's got off his horse, and he will be fighting the colour holder of the French. Now, the question is whether or not they're going to fight one-on-one or no. You don't see a lot of honourable combat in this game, do you really, Mal? It's just get in there and do as much damage, stab as many people as you can with a bayonet.
Oh, you never miss a chance to kill an officer. That seems to be the motto of this community.
You sound somewhat bitter by that statement, Mal.
Oh yes, they don't care which team it's on. It's just never miss a chance to kill an officer.
Yeah, it's understandable. You know, after all, you know, officers are supposed to be men of gentlemen of breeding and good standing, and obviously, you know, there's nothing that can prove that better than a bayonet in the thorax. So let's just watch as we've got line infantry here rejoining other line infantry. So combination of the 75th. These guys will be presenting very soon onto the Austrians over by the edge of the riverbank. Now, let's see. 5 left standing. This is the 5. Correction, 4 left standing. I do love it when that happens. So these guys are going to have to try and do any kind of damage. It could be an interesting situation. I think they're going to try and fight it out. Taking pot shots. Oh, 2 more going down. They weren't quick enough to fire. There we go. They're going in for the charge. They fired now. Question is, will they be able to fire? No, they are charging. Honourable combat, etc. This is going to be a interesting finish for the Austrians, Mal.
Yep, it's all down to whether they can cause team kills just to make the French look bad now.
Yeah, this is. Oh, he's surrendered already. He's surrendered already. Look at that. He has surrendered, and no one's stabbing him. That's kind of surprising. Most of the time when I've seen people surrender in this game, yeah, there we go. Yeah, that went well. That went well, and we'll be back with the next round. Be right back. And we have returned with the next round. Now, obviously, things didn't go well for the Austrians in that round. The French obviously managed to overcome the difficulty of not having any artillery. What really won it for them in that round, Mal?
I think just superior melee fighting. Some of the 4E did an excellent job wiping out the cannon crew and the units sent to fight them, and then the remaining units that were fighting in the forest did an excellent job as well.
Excellent. Now, let's see if the Austrians decide to vary up a bit and try and deploy their cannon in a different location. Literally, they went straight for the river's edge, past the windmill, to try and get as better shot onto the Austrians as they cross the river. Now, what are their options with respect to cannon placement? Would you look at them to be placing it on this small hillock just to the left of the windmill and the right of this small farm, so that at least they've got viewing of the bridge near the river and also the fence? What would you think when it comes to artillery placement, Mal?
I think this is a very difficult map to place artillery on. Being able to cross the river at all points means there's no central choke point for them to be able to aim at to get huge amounts of kills. It's very flat, so there's no elevation for them to get on to have the height advantage, and there's trees absolutely everywhere. So artillery is going to have a rough day of it today, I think. Okay,
it looks like the map just got reset. There we go. They've reset because the second Coldstream have joined in the Austrians. So let's see. 87 versus 89. This makes it a little bit more fair, I suppose you could say. And we'll just have to see how these guys decide to do it. Let's see. Now, moving in towards the river, let's go and see if we can focus on what the French are up to.
They have a cannon now.
Aha! Aha! This is what we like to see. So, who will be the cannoneers? This is the 2E, there's 6YEG Recruit Jack, with a fine beard, and they are bringing their cannon into range, obviously limbered up. In fact, they've got 2 cannons. They have another cannon over on the right-hand side near the cuirassiers. And let's see. Yeah, it looks to be a standard cannon there. A slightly laggy cannon, but a cannon nevertheless. And they look to be picking this reasonably high hill above their spawn. Well, it's not high, but it's more substantial than any of the other hills in the area. But it doesn't give them a good viewpoint to take out the enemy because there's a lot of trees in between. What's your thoughts, Mal? What do you think they're going to do?
I think it would be a good defensive position because it's got a wide open field in front of it, but you need to find some way to force the other team to come to you. And when they've got artillery and the amount of mobility the 2 units of cavalry give them, I don't think they will come for it.
Plus, also, I suppose from a defensive point of view, it helps that you've got the trees surrounding it because it means that they can't actually be suddenly run up by cavalry. They can only kind of attack from certain directions, so it means you kind of funnel them in only one direction. But it looks like they were initially going to deploy it there. They've relimbered it up, and they're actually now moving in towards the large wooded area to the right of the bridge. So let's see what's going on as we're watching Raz, and here are the 4E making their way out of the spawn, past the cuirassiers, and past where the cannon was recently set up. Now, let's see if we can focus in. There we go. We're looking at... Oh, taking pot shots at one of the cuirassier. I think that's one of the officers. But it looks like the Austrians have set up in exactly the same place as they did before. Would this be wise?
It wasn't a bad position for them. I think it was just they were sort of didn't focus down the right units when they had the opportunity. I think the cavalry needs to stop hiding at the back of the map so much and start scouting, because if they were quick enough now, they could take out one of these cannons and both of the cuirassier officers, and there's not a single unit in range that could do anything about them. But they're far too far away to even attempt that at the moment.
Now, speaking obviously from an officer point of view, how hard is it to actually get an overall view of what's going on? Because obviously you're seeing it from a low down point of view. We're looking from the observer mode, so it's a lot easier to see what's going on. What kind of difficulties do you have only being able to observe the battle through a spyglass?
On a quite flat map like this, the spyglass actually allows you to see quite far. You can usually make out things through trees. On hilly maps, that's where it really comes into its own. The low-level view, you need to get up on top of a hill to see what's going on. And if there's other hills in the map as well, you just can't see what's behind them. But on a map like this, the officers of the cavalry have no excuse for not using their speed of their horse to scout enemy positions early on.
Okay, now it looks like we do have a line of French line infantry over on the left-hand side, opposite the hamlet, over the other side of the river. Now, you can see cannon fire going into several members of the 6T Guard there. That's Feldsaal with his cannon shot again, doing a great job. And I also noticed that behind this homestead is a collection of Austrian cavalry. Now, those guys, the hussars, that's going to be a nasty opportunity for an ambush if the French decide to be aggressive and cross the river. Now, obviously speaking, the trouble is they're actually in a very nice garrisoned location here, behind retaining walls with plenty of rifle fire and musket fire. Not an easy situation for the French to attack.
No, something like that, you definitely want to bring up some cannons, even if it means relimbering it and adjusting the position. If they're going to dig in a hard target like that with walls and windows, you need to just bring the guns up. It'll take time, but it's better than throwing troops at it.
Now, I'm looking at the light infantry. They're making use of the cover in the trees pretty much on the left-hand side of the bridge, looking at it from the Austrian side. Now, you've also got the cavalry for the French really holding back. They are not moving at all, but the artillery for the French has literally moved up to the edge. Yeah, literally, they're right opposite the Austrian cavalry. Sorry, the Austrian artillery. So this is where it's going to get nasty between the two sections of artillery. The question is, can they take each other out quickly? Who is going to get the advantage here? It's a matter of timing and a bit of luck, wouldn't you say, Mal?
Yep, definitely, and also gun positioning. Those two French guns are very close to each other. If you once you've fired, you step to the side to see where it's gone. You could end up lining both of your gunners up with each other. One cannonball, both are gone.
Yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate. That you've got to be careful with that kind of placement. Now, obviously, you've still got the cavalry milling around somewhat aimlessly around the back. Obviously, they're making use of the line infantry in their area to give them a little bit of cover. There's only a few members of the Austrian cavalry remaining, a couple of guys face down in the dirt. And you've got a Corporal Carbon who is watching to see what's going on. Now, let's see. Let's move over to the hamlet. As yet, there we go. There's lots of battles going on. Here we go. We're moving as the French decide to ford the river, so the French making their way over. And let's see as they are moving in, and it looks like the line infantry from the Austrians have moved up to the nearer ridge, overlooking it, and there we go, going in for a bit of bayonet-y fun as they are now moving towards the hamlet that is being defended by combinations of light infantries and skirmishers. And rather strangely, the hussars have decided to back off. Now, why would they back off?
I honestly don't know why they'd back off. That's a massive engagement, and they could quite happily ride through that. Even just knocking people down would help their grenadiers out immensely. There are more French units coming in. Maybe they felt they should preserve themselves for later in the fight, but they've just lost a significant number of troops to that fight.
Yeah, not looking good. Poor old PFC plays last man standing. The French have then taken everybody out, and it looks like the skirmishers are the people who are remaining to hold on to this building. Now, let's see if we can go up high to see if we can find out what's going on. Now, the line infantry has backed off. They are looking in the opposite direction as a large contingent of French is making their way over to this homestead and pushing in pretty hard on that homestead. Now, that's going to be an interesting situation to find out what they're going to do and what the Austrians are going to do to try and repel borders, Mal.
Yep, trying to fight in a house with the rifle butts, that's not going to go too well for them. And line battle rules do not apply in buildings, so the line infantry can quite happily fire as much as they like.
So, as you can see, there's a chance of a little bit of team killing going on. As out come the bayonets. Oh, there we go. Lots of bayonet-y goodness going in there. And swords and all the rest of it. So you can see there the 4E Grenadiers taking out plenty of the 40ES. So another successful attack there. And the French really being quite aggressive, but also making a significant dent into the Austrian lines on the right-hand side. Now you have the 6TE Guard and their associated line troops are going to start pushing in. This is quite a bit of a turn-up as far as I'm concerned. What do you think, Mal?
Yeah, there's definitely lots of coordination going on the right. The left here, the French skirmishers are doing very well in melee. It's not something you usually associate with skirmishers, but it's something they usually practice more than the line infantry in some cases, just because it is their perceived weakness.
Now, I've also just noticed that the cavalry, the cuirassiers, have decided to engage, and it looks like they're trying to take out, or at least the artillery of the French has actually been attacked, and this is very unfortunate. It looks like they've managed to repel borders. Lovely work there by Royal Guardian Chris, and the loader, there's Advanced VX. So it's looking pretty interesting. Looks like the artillery for the French is still surviving. Oh, nice shot indeed into one of the cavalrymen who are still deciding to try and attack the artillery. One of the artillerymen just got taken down, and it's not looking too good for the French artillery at the moment. But what's going on with the French line as they are pushing in towards the rear line of the Austrians, Mao?
They're currently in a line battle, but the Austrian cavalry did a wide arc around them and has currently come through the trees behind them. The trees are hindering their progress after the initial strike, though, and their line infantry isn't moving in to support them, which is a shame.
Now, why would they not be moving in? Is that because they're afraid of killing their teammates? Or is it just price you pay, or would you not basically fire? You'll just go in with melee and bayonets to try and support the cavalry?
It very much depends on the visibility and the range. If you can be sure that you're not going to hit friendlies when you fire, you may stand off and carry on shooting. But in trees like that, and the horses were doing quite tight circles, there's no advantage to standing there doing nothing. You may as well move in, try to support the attack with melee.
Another man taken down. There we go, Corvus. Very unfortunate there. He got taken down, and that is last man standing. Stiff neck, about to have a very, very stiff neck. And a team kill in there as well, as per standard for this mod. We love it. So, as you can see, we're looking at the remaining members of the Austrians. These guys are going to have to back off. They are severely dented in numbers now. 7 versus 24. Now, this is not looking good. Not looking good at all for the Austrians. They do not have the numbers to be able to compete against what is coming in their direction. The French behemoth and the line infantry that is now coming towards what is their artillery encampment. Not looking good for the Austrians so far, Mal.
Nope, they're retreating away somewhere, so they must have some sort of plan of how they want to tackle this French line that's bearing down on them, because they're not going to outrun it, that's for sure. Here they go, they're turning to fight.
This should be interesting. I noticed they're turning to fight with a horse right in the middle, and you've also got a collection of infantry moving over 45 degrees to their left, trying to get them in a crossfire. This could get very messy. There we go, they fired. Oh, a couple of people get taken down, a couple of people get hit by bullets. There we go, the fire coming in. The Australians darting around Australians, Jesus. The Austrians darting around all over, trying to avoid the bullets, and they're finally going in for the melee combat. And you can also see, there we go, the final stab going in there. Let's see, last man standing, no. Oh, nice stab indeed, but unfortunately their Blazerade gets taken down. Now, who is the last man standing for the Austrians? There is one man remaining. The question is, where is he? Now, I think he's actually on a horse. Now, this could be Corporal Carbon on a horse at the moment, about to charge in towards the enemy. Now, what is he going to do? No, there we go. He's going back. He's just and he's surrendered. This can only go well. This can only go well. There we go. He's got out his spyglass because, as we know, no spyglass rifle. Difficult to say. Goes in for a nice stab. This is good to see. But okay, perhaps it wasn't that good. But there you go. French winning another successful round there. Well played, and we'll move on to the next round. We'll be right back. Okay, we have returned with what is the third round. Now, that was certainly another good round there for the French. Their very aggressive play, pushing up on the right-hand side, was advantageous for them, wouldn't you say, Mal?
Yep, the two units that pushed up on that right were very cooperative, covering each other nicely, and they had the numbers to push it through. I'm not too sure why the Austrian units went in piecemeal. They had cavalry, they had skirmishers, they had line. They should have all worked together. Instead, the skirmishers stayed in the house. The cavalry ran away. So it was theirs to throw away, really.
Yeah, very unfortunate that. As we're just keeping an eye to see what's going on. As we're watching the French get set up, more artillery coming out. And we have moved to the windmill as another line of the second Coldstream are making their way out, with Son of Skiz, who is currently pushing the line forward there. More of the Coldstream. There's Norrington and Sir Hal and Caranthea and Mole God and Angus at the rear, and Needham, who is the last man at the back. And you've got another person in there, Colonel Falk, who appears to be on his own. So let's just see what the Austrians are going to do. Now, I noticed they're actually pushing pretty significantly over to the left-hand side. This looks to be a slight possible change in strategy, moving up towards the hamlet, which the French pushed pretty hard last round. Do you think this is a definite reaction to the occurrences of the previous round?
I think it is, and if you look on the French side of the river, their side is very exposed at that end of the map. If they can hold their riverbank, the Austrians have the advantage there. But the French do seem to be aware of what's going on and are sending their troops that direction as well. Although whether they'll adjust once they see what the Austrians are actually doing.
Yeah, I see what you mean now. You've obviously got the cavalry from the Austrians already crossing the river there. Now, obviously, what you're saying here is that there's a lot more trees on the Austrian side of the bank than there are on the French side of the bank, so that additional cover will definitely help them repel any borders as the French move over in that direction. Now, you've got a line of French line infantry making their way to the river. Here we go. There's Captain Wachel of the 75th, and you've also got over here from the 4E, there is Sergeant Southern Volumed. So these guys making pot shots as the second Coldstream claim a few victims there. Nice long distance fire by the Austrians, and you've got cavalry in there as well, darting around the rear. And Feldsau claims another victim. Feldsau seems to be very accurate with that cannon today.
Yeah, he's picking people off one by one. If they ever give him the chance of a line, I'm sure he'll happily oblige to take most of them out.
Yes, a bunch of very opportunistic Watsits are the artillery in this game. So let's just see. There's Jem Vikos for the 18th. He is drummer extraordinaire, as the Austrians are now moving out to the left-hand side of the river bank, and the French have decided to stay in the middle. Now let's just see if we can lock in on what the French are doing. It looks like the skirmishers are defending the hamlet once again. They've got a bit of battle going on over the river. Oh, nice shot there indeed from Cutler into Minty, and also Lance Corporal McGoddy there gets taken down. Good long distance shooting there by the members of the 15th. Now, when you're shooting across the river like that, that's quite a significant amount of distance. How do you achieve accuracy with a musket? Because as we know, it's not exactly renowned for its accuracy.
Blind luck and lots of praying is generally the approved methods of hitting at long range with a musket.
Okay, all right, we won't argue with that one. So Artemis then taken out by a member of the 18th, and they have decided to now sensibly back off. We got some line here at the back who... Oh, this looks like a cavalry engagement here. Let's see if we can lock in on where these guys are. As we can see sword swiping going on. Yeah, looks like, yeah, lots of sword swiping going on. Cannonballs come flying over, bouncing around the enemy. Now, let's see what this is over here. This looks to be what is the end of artillery. Looks like possibly artillery troop. No, it looks like the opposing cavalry got absolutely butchered by the hussars. So a sneak attack by the hussars there. Good play, do you think there, Mal?
It was a good play, but personally I think there was something slightly better they could have done. The two French lines on the opposite end of the river, they engaged what they thought were two Austrian lines. It turns out it was the entire Austrian force. If they had cavalry back up at that end of the map, they could quite easily have cut those two French units off from retreating and just eliminated them entirely.
Yeah.
But, it was still very good play for what they achieved at that end of the map. Taking out the 6E cuirassiers is never an easy task.
Indeed, I can imagine. Now, obviously, the French line deciding to back off into the trees and the cover that then offers them, as it looks like one of the cuirassiers is after a member there, Wreck Ranger. Now, I'm looking at the French artillery. Now, look at the placement of the French artillery. They have little to no cover whatsoever where they are at the moment. Good placement, you think, or could be a mistake, as you can tell from the bodies all over the place?
Slightly further up on the crest of the I mean, it's a gentle slope, but on the crest of it's where you kind of want to be, maybe just behind the crest, so that when the ball bounces, there's that chance that it will go over you. You can see the bounces coming up the hill at the moment. They're not stopping even remotely. You can see the corpse laying in one of them for a start.
Yeah, now, obviously, the part of the problem is the fact that they've probably placed them there so that they have direct line of sight to the Austrian artillery. And you can see here, Soldat Eagle, obviously doing his loading thing. He only just avoided a cannonball that was meant for him. And yeah, unfortunate placement there for the French artillery. I think they may come off worse against their opposing side. Now, as we make our way down the river to where the line infantry battles between the Austrian and the French lines are occurring over the river here. Now, the French seem to be increasing in numbers on this riverside. You've got another line moving up as well. The question is, they're going to have problems because they're going to be exposed, as you mentioned earlier, and the Austrians have the advantage of that little hillock behind the trees that they can use for additional cover now.
Yeah, the Austrians have got some good defensive positions here. I'm not too sure what their line infantry are doing. They're lining up perfectly with that French gun that you said was questionably placed, so we may see some big kills coming in soon.
That would be rather amusing if that was the case. Now, yeah, I can see them here. It looks like you now have the skirmishers leaving the building. They are now moving out and past their own artillery, as their artillery is taking pot shots across the river to try and take out the French line infantry. As you've got members of the 2nd Coldstream here moving up. There we go. The fording of the river has occurred by the French side. Oh, look, there's going to be two lines getting very close to each other. They're not going to have time to shoot. They're going to have to charge in there and get on with a bit of stabby goodness. So this is the 75th. Captain Washell we're following at the moment. He's being attacked from all directions, managing to take out a few people, but unfortunately the 18th have prevailed by the looks of it. There still are some members of the French team left, and there's another bayonet party at the other end of the beach, I suppose you could say, or the riverbank. Oh my goodness, there wasn't a lot of fire done on this one. This was literally, they were so close to each other that they got in there and they had to melee straight away, Mal.
Yep, the two units on the far end of the river managed to get a few shots on each other, but the 4E charging through the trees just came across far too close. If they'd stopped to form up, they would have caught a full volley in the face before they were ready. So the only sensible thing there was to charge it, which is what both units did.
Now, at the moment, it looks like the French are possibly coming off the worst. 47 versus 23, so this sudden aggressive attack here by the French does not appear to have been successfully. May have actually broken the back of their challenge in this particular round. So if you look at the numbers, 45 versus 16, not looking good for the French. They're going to have to pull a miracle out of the hat to recover from this one, Mal.
Yep, it's definitely looking like it's going the Austrians' way. That defensive strategy down in the trees there really worked for them. The French didn't focus their forces. They just split out across the map. So the Austrians definitely had the better tactics this round, I think.
Now, I was just locked in on one of the artillerymen for the French, and literally, he was the guy who was nearest the road and just took a cannonball in the chest. Unfortunate placement there for him. He is no more, so they are down by one cannon, and it looks like you've got the cuirassiers in there trying to do some damage to members of the Austrian... let's just say, sorry, no, the French, my apologies. Let's just see what these guys are. Here we go, the 6TE, they're in there trying to defend now. Obviously, they're being sensible, taking cover in the trees, trying to make use of whatever they can. There we go, lovely stab. Oh, that was stonkingly good stab. Straight into oh, God, how the hell do I say that name? Jockey.
Can't help you with that one.
So they decided to take cover in the trees, taking pot shots back at the enemy. This is pretty much what remains of the French contingent. We're looking at 5 at the moment where they are. No, correction, make that 6. And obviously a few other members of the artillery as well. So the question is, how is going to be the best way to mop up what is left of the enemy forces, Mal?
You just want to group your forces. The cannons should be firing the right side of the map for a start, I guess. Ideally, you'd have them in 2 groups, one go either side, and just catch them in a crossfire. You do have a skirmisher unit there. They should be trying to engage in range, not grouped up, sat on top of each other, because that is not a skirmish formation. But I've seen some questionable formations out of them tonight so far.
Yeah. Now, obviously, speaking from a historical point of view and things of that nature, why is the skirmisher line different from a standard line? What are the advantages? Is it to offset the fact that they have more accurate rifles? Why is the skirmisher line different from a standard line?
Well, generally, they were used as sort of scouts and advanced troops to harass the enemy, which meant they were trained to sort of operate in alone in small groups. And then the opposition obviously came across this as a good idea, so you just end up with the two units fighting each other. But as these are less about big lines facing off against each other, they tend to be more about being able to just harass the enemy through not being worth firing at because they can spread out so far compared to other targets. So they don't fulfill the exact historical role, but they do something very similar in Napoleonic Wars.
Yeah, it's all valid information. So I mean, you know, we're just watching. Let's see if we can lock in on what remains of the French contingent, who are currently at one with the forest. They are at one with nature, currently hiding in the trees. Now, obviously, what is this? Looks to be. Is this a light infantry brigade here that we're looking at, or regiment, I should say? Is that the reason why they wouldn't be firing back in a line, making use of the cover? What do you think? Are they doing the right thing? As we've got a couple of skirmishers now moving into support.
Yep, this is the light infantry of the French, and so hiding in trees. This is a very good skirmish formation for them. They've held out quite well. I think the ideal tactic to dig them out would be to just charge in at them and then make use of your superior numbers, which it seems to be the Austrians are doing now. So we'll see how this goes for them.
Yeah, we're just watching them at the moment. These last guys trying to defend themselves as best they can. There we go. They're going in for the charge, trying to back off as far as I can see. The Austrians moving in. The remaining members of the skirmishers trying to stay out of bayonet range. Trying to make a quick turn in there, get a quick stab. Somebody just gets stabbed in the bottom, and the Austrians have won the round. So the first round on the board for the Austrians, and we shall move to the next round. We'll be right back. And we are back with the next round. Now, a little bit of admin-y goodness going on in the background as we're watching the French get set up. Obviously, the cuirassiers in there, the line infantry making their way out. And it looks like what's happened is they've actually changed ends, so to speak. So is this a standard thing you would see in a battle? Obviously, you see it in siege. You know, one side gets to defend, one side gets to attack, and then you swap them round. Because then obviously it negates any advantage that you have where the map is concerned, Mal.
A lot of events use randomly generated maps, so in that case you'd usually do 3 rounds of one map, 3 rounds of an entirely different map. In the case of the events we run, we have all of the commanders vote whether they're happy with the map before we play it. But these are custom-made maps, so that's not really an option. So just as a balancing sort of thing, they do their half-time swap.
Yeah, that makes sense, because then obviously, you don't want to play on a one-sided map all the time. I mean, obviously, like you were saying, the defensive left side of the Austrian spawn, as it was then, had the advantage of all those trees on the riverbank, and therefore the additional cover that offered. So, and also the ability to fire down through tree cover through the bridge and down towards the French lines. So this is obviously the case, as it looks like the Austrian artillery is getting set up. Now, they've decided to bring in an engineer who's actually putting earthen mounds in front of the cannons. Now, obviously, the design for that is to stop the cannonballs. Is this a common tactic that gets used? You don't really see a huge amount of engineer use in a lot of the games that I've covered for the 77Y.
In a lot of events, they are disabled because one of their objects they can create is an explosive box, which is subject to immense amounts of trolling from people if it gets into the wrong hands. But you can make effective use of the stuff they build. These mounds, I think, will actually catch a cannonball if it hits them because they're destructible, as you may have just seen there if you were watching that.
I was indeed, yes.
So they can be very effective. You just have to watch that your own cannons don't shoot them and that the guy digging it doesn't get in the way.
Like that would ever happen, as it looks like a little bit of stabby goodness going on between the 15th YR and the 2E 4E. So let's just see if we can lock in on those guys. There we go. It looks like it was a battle on the riverside. Looks to be. Now the question is, was this a case of the Austrians being too aggressive, and good play by the 4E who managed to defend the bank? What's your thoughts on that, Mal?
Yeah, the Austrians crossing there wasn't the best place. It's a very defensive position. That curved log in there could be great cover if there were skirmishers around. And just completely unsupported by the rest of their troops. There's not a lot they could have been expected to do. And the 4E shut them down quite happily.
Yeah, that was kind of, yeah, as you can see, looking at this from the point of view of the skirmishers on the opposite bank, yeah, that place is just full of cover. Wasn't a wise idea. Probably would have been a better idea to proceed further down the bank on the left-hand side. But, you know, we'll just have to wait and see what happens with the rest of the team. We're moving in on the remaining infantry here for the Austrians as they are making their way out. Let's see, here's from the 3TSIR, there's Martos making his way out, and it looks like, oh, Gunpork has just killed somebody. That's very unfortunate. Great name, I have to say. As we're looking at the second Coldstream now, it looks like these fine fellows are defending the building, and they've got loads of hussars parked outside in a similar ambush position. Now, it looks like also you've got French here who are pushing up towards this hamlet, and the Austrians have been quite aggressive getting into that position. Now, the question is whether or not they're going to do it. It looks like these bunch of the 75th here looking a little bit confused and trying to back off. There we go, they're back in the column, and they're making their way away as far as they can from what is obviously superior numbers, Mel.
Yep, they're backing off because the rest of their team is currently on the opposing banks attacking the Austrian artillery. They've taken their hamlet off of them. Ooh. And the 75th here getting charged by cavalry. 2 units of them by the look of it.
Oh, this is not pretty. This is an absolute butchering going on here. Not looking good. There we go. Poor 75th. Absolutely crashed and bashed by this line of cavalry. I think it's fair to say they did not stand a chance. People being barged over left, right and centre. Sabres coming out. A couple of people have been dehorsed, but good play there by the cavalry of the Austrians. And let's just see what happens. There you go, the Hornist is out doing his thing, and they're being supported by line infantry of the Austrians who look like they've moved out of the house area, out of the hamlet, and are now looking, yeah, it's the second Coldstream. So they are supporting their cavalry. Good play there by the Coldstream, moving up, supporting the cavalry as they move in to take out the remainders of the French there, Mal.
Yep, they're definitely supporting their cavalry well. It seems what's left of the French are housed in the Austrians' spawn building, effectively, but they're under direct cannon fire. The Coldstream and the cavalry should mop up what's left on this side of the river. So it's down to the cuirassiers' ability, but I think there's just too many numbers there for them.
Yeah, looking that way at the moment. 47 versus 46. Another line battle going on between the 4E here as they are... Oh, a couple of bullets being taken. Oh, fire coming in from the 18TS and the second Coldstream, taking down final member of the cuirassiers there by the looks of it. So fire coming in from Austrians over the other side of this fence, firing over the top of the fence with additional firepower from the rifles. The 4E now deciding to move out, as we are looking at the 13 TES-IR, and there's Shifty there, and we're looking at Musk of Vincent, who are firing back at them with their Austrian rifles, and the remainders of the French are now decided to retreat to this building. This is going to get ugly, because literally it looks like what is remaining of the French contingent are holding up in this building. They're just going to batter the living snot out of it, Mal.
Yep, 2 cannons pointing straight at it. I doubt the requirement for a door will be needed much longer.
Yes, doors are overrated. Doors are not needed in this kind of battle. So yeah, there we go. Watching the cannonballs going flying into the building. Now, obviously, when you're trying to defend a building, it's like you said, rules of a standard line battle do not apply. As Lucas takes a cannonball in the bonce. And you've got a brave fluter in the building who is, there we go, a little bit of drumming going on. So there's Noswill for the 6TE, drumming it up a storm, defending the house. Now, this house is beginning to look less like a house and more like a frame of a house. So many holes in this thing, it could be a Swiss cheese. Now, the question is, there must be more than just these French contingent here who are defending this house. The question is, where are the remainders of the French?
They have a few at their artillery piece, which is currently being charged by the Coldstreams under heavy canister fire.
Okay, yeah, I'm just looking at a few members of the French. There's a 6Y, there's Firecard having a little bit of a battle going on with a couple of Austrian members, and he's blocking some nice attacks there, but unfortunately didn't block the final one. Firecard taken down by Kenny, and it looks like the French artillery being attacked, and there we have it. They have gone down. Final members of the French artillery. Looks like he's going to try and fire at the Austrians. Can he get one? Yes, he does. Oh, poor old Angus takes great shot at less than 20 feet away. That's going to leave a mark. And the remaining members of the French artillery there are trying to defend against the attackers. And it's not going well for them as remaining members of the 2nd Coldstream move in to finish off the survivors. As we move over to the House of Holes, and things not looking good. Bodies by the walls, as expected. Obviously, we use walls in the most general term, as it has become less of a wall now, more of a large greenhouse-style window, as the French are continuing to defend. Now, the trouble is they're going to get pinned in here, and there's not much they're going to be able to do. Isn't that right, Mel?
No, there's not a lot they can do. They can possibly sneak out the back if they go through the building, but it looks like that side is still exposed at least a little bit. But there is nowhere really for them to go. This probably is the best place for them. Cavalry won't be able to do much against them while they're in there. It's just whether they can do anything with the cannons firing on them.
Now, if you were in this position, what would you elect to do? Would you try and rush up the side or one side and try and take out the cannons so at least they're doing less damage to you? Or what kind of thing would you look to do from a commander's point of view? Because this is obviously a hopeless situation. The Austrians are now moving in. Oh, Colour Bearer just got taken down. How would you deal with this kind of situation as a commander, Mal?
I would have designated people in the windows firing at the guys sort of coming from the cannon directions, but making sure they're spread out so a cannonball can only ever take out one. And the rest would be focused on taking out these line infantry coming in from the side. If you can whittle their numbers down, this is still winnable.
Now, I noticed they're being pretty smart here, just standing there, waiting for them to come through. Unfortunately, that wasn't successful. A few stabs going in there. Oh, bit of team killing going on as well, as nice shots there. So it looks like the remaining members of... Oh, there we go. Out come a few of the hussars there. Bit of stabby goodness going on outside there. The sabre comes out courtesy of Probito. He takes out the remaining members. And we're looking at 9 Frenchmen versus 11 Austrians, as one of the Austrians sneaks in through the holes in the building, shoots one of the French in the face. And there is a flutist still around here somewhere. He's got to be the bravest flutist I've ever seen. Here we go. A shout out to Manelik, the bravest flutist on the battlefield. So you can see in come the Austrians. They're going in for the stab. He is still fluting, and there's also a drummer in the corner. That's Noswill for the 6T. Oh no! They've just shot the musician. Oh god, that's just cruel. Musicians get no love in this game whatsoever, Mal, and it really upsets me.
Well, I can understand it from some perspectives. You do get fed up with listening to that one same song they all seem to love playing.
To be honest, what I love about the flute on this particular game is that you can tell that, you know, the flutist playing it is not particularly great because there's a few out of tune moments. But yeah, I can understand where you're coming from. After a while, you do get sick of it. But you know, I'm surprised they don't let you play MP3s on it or something. That would be a whole different thing entirely. So, you know, rocking out to a bit of dubstep on the battlefield.
Charge of the Justin Bieber Brigade.
Could you imagine that? I think all of them would fall on their own bayonets just at the principle. But yeah, could you imagine that? Oh, good God, that would just be horrific.
It would be the biggest single suicide pack NW had ever seen.
Brilliant. Oh God, I'd love to see that just on principle now. That would just be fantastic. So it looks like you've got one of the hussars around the back. The 6T are still being taken out by the cannonballs, and they're just being very careful. So there you go, a quick pot shot in and completely missed. So it looks like the French have decided to come out of the building and are moving in to try and attack the remaining enemy. So 7 versus 4, not over by any means. However, it's not looking good for the French. They've got to get in there. They've got to try and stab them if they can. It's not looking good. Oh, another fire coming in. Noswell taking out Private Mason. Good shot there by Noswell. So obviously showing that his drumming skills is not his only capability. So he's standing by the window, trying to take pot shots at the enemy. This has got to be the longest drawn-out siege I've ever seen. But it's not so much a siege as it is a building with no hot walls left. It's an interesting standoff, I suppose you could say, Mel.
Yep, definitely. And Feldsaul's just showing off now. He's shooting through not only one entire building, he's then going through the front wall and out the back wall of the second building.
Oh, that's just blatantly showing off. That's just blatantly showing off. I think, obviously, that sounds like hacks being used at work. So I think, definitely ban for that. As that's just, just artillery showing off, without a doubt. So let's just see if we can focus in what's going on. There seems to be literally everybody versus one hussar and a commander, which is Feldsaul. Yeah, there we go. So he is standing there, taking cover behind, obviously, what... There not enough people... There's somebody in the Kazi. There is somebody defending inside the Kazi. That says Woden on it. Now, I'm not sure if it's the same Woden that we know. But out he comes out of the Kazi. The Kazi attack has begun. He's gone in for the shot. There we go. He takes down Jofrit. Or Jofriet. And another stab going into Probito. And it looks like Feldsaul's gone in. He's killed one member. Last man standing possibly for the French. In comes these stabs. Kills the last man standing. It's the drummer. The drummer boy is the last man standing. He's trying to defend himself against Feldsaul. And they're getting blocked all over the place. Oh, Feldsaul gets taken down by the drummer. Oh, great kill by Noswell. Noswell, this looks to be 3 versus 1. Can Noswell do it? Yes, he can. Holy crap. Look at that. That was quite an accomplishment there by Noswell. And poor old Woden gets taken down with a bayonet to the bonce. And who are the remaining members here? There's Fairas there getting double stabbed from Noswell. Holy crap, what is going on? Noswell is on fire. Oh my God. Wow. Yeah, that was pretty impressive, Mal.
Yep, that was Austria's to lose, and they seem to have managed it somehow.
Awesome. Absolutely. Shout out to Noswell for phenomenally good play there. Expert play with the bayonet. And also, that's why you should never shoot the musicians, boys and girls, because you never know if they're going to save your life. Moving on to the next round. And we're back at the next round. And mysteriously, the building seems to have no more holes in it. Imagine that. That's a strange thing. So the day the drummer boy became a man. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I love it. I do love this game. It's fantastic stuff. So obviously we're looking at the Austrians at the moment. Pretty much the same setup as before. A couple of people just disconnected. That's instability with the application, would you say? Or is that a common problem that happens? People just randomly lose connection to a server?
People do randomly just lose connection to a server, but also these events do go on for quite a while. People don't usually plan their time particularly well, so towards the end you will find that people do start to drop off just because they've got to be somewhere.
Real life gets in the way, yes, whatever that is apparently. So let's move in as we're looking at the Austrians here. Now, let's see what's going on. As they're making their way over to the hamlet now, on the left-hand side, that hamlet where the French will hold up. Now, obviously, hopefully the Austrians do not try and charge across the river again as they did before. And Lucas has just mysteriously disconnected, so let's have a look. 72 versus 89. Now, the French have it all to do, as far as we can see. What do you think they're going to try and do? Now, let's count back. So currently, if I'm right in thinking, it was 2-1 the previous map. And I think that was in favour of the Austrians, was it not?
I can't remember, to be honest. I thought it was either a draw or the French were in the lead currently.
Okay, well, it's all a blur. We'll fix it in the edit. So, oh, blimey, there's looks like the cuirassiers here and the French cavalry already having a battle going on. Wow, that was pretty aggressive play over by the area near the windmill. So you can see pretty aggressive play here by cavalry from both sides, and they're looking to do as much damage. Now, obviously, if the cuirassiers can take down the opposing cavalry, that will give them a massive advantage. Now, the French cavalry now being supported by the line infantry. So you can see the line infantry have just moved in. The 4E grenadiers have just moved in to support their cavalry. And whether or not they'll actually survive there. There's Taco with, oh my god, what does he look like? Yeah, the strangest face I've ever seen. Although looking at Gosu, it's difficult to... he looks like a walrus, I have to say. And so there we go. That has been the... I think the Hussars have been completely wiped out now. There might be some more Austrian cavalry out there. And looks like we've got more fire coming in as we are looking at the line infantry for the Austrians near the building on the left-hand side, trading fire with the French opposing forces, as we've got the Austrians now making their way over, possibly over the bridge in more open area than they did previously. Remember if they're going to have much success this time, Mal.
Well, they are staying spread out, which it's a good thing, seeing as the enemy skirmishers are firing on them, but I don't know if they can see this line. It may just be behind the crest of the hill. So it depends how quickly they can form up from that scattered position, or whether they will just risk it and go for a full-on melee.
Yeah, this is not looking good. This is not looking good. They better start dodging. Oh, fire coming. Wow, how did they actually not hit anybody? But unfortunately, it looks like a couple of naughty people in there charging and firing at the same time. But it looks like they're now pushing in, and the fire is coming in. Looks like they're going to try and reform in a quick line to try and fire back at the enemy. But there we go, a couple of fire going down from the Coldstream, and Gunpork has died again. Poor old Gunpork. And we're just looking to see what's going on. Very aggressive play here by the Austrians, by the second Coldstream on the left-hand side. But looking at the numbers, I think it's fair to say that the second Coldstream will come a cropper there, as Spartan's Nuts gets killed by one of his teammates. And let's just see what's going on. The remaining member of the Austrians. There we go. Sir Hal gets taken down, as we see cannon fire coming over from the French and from the Austrians on the far side of the bank. But they haven't had much success in actually dinking anybody with that yet, Mal.
No, the cannons don't seem to be having a very good round so far. The Austrians should have really supported the Coldstream there. I must say I'm particularly underwhelmed with their skirmisher unit. They seem to be trying to be long-range snipers, which, although rifles are more accurate, they most certainly are not. They're being a bit more reasonable with their usage now, gearing up with the line infantry just being spread out, which is where they're most effective. Their main advantage is just not worth targeting compared to the big line next to them.
I've just seen the hero of the previous round, Noswell, catch a bullet in the face, so he has now ended his participation in this round, as the skirmishers are taking pot shots at the Austrian line infantry on the opposing bank. Now, looking over to the Austrian artillery, you can see them hiding behind the banks as another cannonball takes out one of those banks. Now, they varied it up. It looks like they've got a standard 6-pounder, but they've also got a howitzer. Now, obviously, what they're looking to do is to try and do as much damage as possible with those explosive charges to try and take down as many of the line infantry as possible. Obviously, as we've discussed previously, it doesn't have the range of the standard 6-pounder, but it has that explosive ability that can make all the difference. Mal?
Yeah, the explosive ability means that it can do considerably more damage, but it doesn't have the bounce, so you have to be accurate with where it lands. The advantage of the cannons, if you drop a little short, it doesn't matter. It will quite happily bounce right through them. That howitzer has to be spot on, or you're getting nothing.
From the point of view of commanding a regiment, which is the more useful to you, a standard cannon or a howitzer?
It very much depends on the map. If you think that the enemy's going to try and go for a static position, such as the buildings, then I would nearly always take a howitzer, because you can zero it in and reliably hit. Also, the smaller maps where they can actually reach most of it. Otherwise, it's always got to be the standard cannons.
Okay, so now obviously those cannons are well aimed, means that you can use a combination of just dropping it before somebody so it bounces up one side, or obviously, you know, these are the kind of things that take a little bit of practice. Hopefully, I can go into some detail with one of those. That's something I'd like to do at some point. Cannon 101. So let's see, 41 versus 41, as we're looking at what appears to be Hussar, who is on the far side of the water. There we go. He's just crossing the river now, moving towards the artillery. So they're obviously moving back. There's only 3 of them left. Now we're looking at the 18 TS. They are defending what was the French hold-up building previously, and the artillery. Now I have to say, the engineer here this is Corporal Carbon. He is doing a good job of actually putting defences. So he's putting in defences to intercept cannonballs, and also defences to stop any kind of charging horses into the fray. Now, this is the kind of thing that you don't actually see that often in line battles because of, like you said, the limitations of engineers and sappers and things of that nature. Completely different aspect to the strategy, wouldn't you say, Mal?
Yeah, it does play a big part. One of the other downsides to the sapper is he actually has a limited amount of build points, so he can only build so much stuff per round. Usually you'd see the spikes go on the back of the cannon. It's not particularly common for cavalry to attack head-on at anything. So I'm a little surprised he's putting them around the front there. I'd have thought there'd have been a ring around the back.
Okay, I know what you're saying. Because obviously the mounds would cover the front area, and then the spikes obviously would cover the back area. So we've seen that kind of defensive formation done on more than one occasion, as it looks like the 6T Guard are having a little bit of a battle, as we have now moved towards the artillery here of the French, complete with
Did
soldat...
you just see that?
No, I missed that.
Your howitzer you were previously watching just fired and slammed directly into the ranker of the cannon next to him, leaving a ginormous crater with a body in it.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at... yes, I've just locked in on him now. And yeah, that's a bad day at the office for that fella. And it looks like, here we go, it looks like the French are now charging. Oh, lovely shot. Huge explosion. Poor Blackadder. He definitely needs aid now, as for fire coming in from Raz, taking out Hazza for the win, or for the lose, I should say, as the artillery of the French decide to back off. The 4E Grenadier, no, okay, he died, as the remaining members of the Austrian artillery are, sorry, the French artillery there, possibly, are trying to do this Feldsaal there, defending against the attack by this lone French person. Let's see who this is. Yeah, this is the Walrus. There's Gosu from the 4E. Nice turn there. Tried to stab, but unfortunately gets a bayonet through the stomach. He is no more. There's another Frenchman over. There we go. Takes him out. That's Cadet Champions. Another stab onto the drummer. He looks like somebody's trying to clean his ears out with that loading bung. I'm not sure what the technical term for it is. I can never remember it. But, yeah, there we go. Looks like the artillery for the Austrians will be back up again shortly. And the French attack on that artillery has not been successful, Mal.
Yep, the defenders there held off very nicely. I think I saw that howitzer shell, although it killed the one unfortunate guy, I think his friend next to him just got blown off his feet and they managed to get back up again, which is something I'd only ever seen once before.
Wasn't that an occurrence we've actually seen on video with Brooksy, I think it was, who managed to take a cannonball to the nether regions and still managed to survive?
Yep, he's standing there quite happily with his flag, caught a howitzer shell to the face, and we turn around to see what's going on, and he's busy picking himself back up off the floor, dusting himself down, and pretending nothing's happened.
Yeah, you cannot discount the armoured capability of the Colonials. That we know for a fact. So, let's just see. There is Cuirassier Corporal Horseborn, who is holding on to the Imperial Eagle. Looks like he's placed it down. Now, you've got a French light infantry making their way in towards the house that had been defended previously, so it looks like they're now moving in on the remaining members of the Austrian contingent. So I think it's pretty much going to be all over pretty soon, as the light infantry are moving towards the artillery. Now the question is, can the artillery get them, take a pot shot in their general direction in time? it's pretty much all over as far as the Austrians are concerned. Oh, nice shot there by Kill 221. Cannonball coming in right between the two guys. I'm surprised he didn't go for canister shots, but another member being taken down, and I think it's pretty much all over for the Austrians. Only a few members left. Let's just see. Yep, this is it. Tail end Charlie. Blazerade is the last man standing. Cannonball bounces by the side of his nose. He decides to cheese it in the opposite directions, turns to fight, goes in for a stab, is being stabbed. Oh, takes down two people. Could this be another attempt by the Austrians to attack? Oh, goodness me, Blazerade taking another stab. Oh, and he finally gets taken down. So, the French have won that round, and that is a good game to all teams. And that's it, all over. Last thoughts, Mal?
Last thoughts, I think we need to keep better track of the score, because I still don't know who's won.
Yeah, well, like I said, we'll fix that in the edit. So you will actually see the live scores appearing at exactly this point. And I'll be able to edit all that in and all the rest of it. So, yes, you'll have to apologise our lack of basic maths. It's kind of ironic considering that I work in IT and Mal's an engineer, so go figure. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We hope you enjoyed this battle. We hope you enjoyed the commentary. And we will no doubt be back more. We will be back for more historical line battles, courtesy of Napoleonic Wars. Take care.
See ya.